Greetings, welcome to W7U2 Criterion 1 Outcome Based Curriculum. This is part 2. In the last unit, we looked at part 1 of the Criterion 1 Outcome Based Curriculum. We covered the sub criteria 1.1.1 and 1.1.2 vision, mission and PEOs. In this unit, the outcome is understand the SCR requirements of Criterion 1 outcome based curriculum, same Criterion 1. Now, we look at sub criteria 1.1.3, 1.1.4 and 1.1.5. 1.1.3 sub criterion is state the process for defining the vision and mission of the department and PEOs of the program. We already saw that institute has a vision and mission and the department develops its own vision and mission that is consistent with the institute's vision and mission, and it develops the PEOs of the program for which accreditation is being sought. And we mentioned in the last unit that these have to follow a process, a well documented written process must be followed in defining the vision, mission as well as PEOs of the program. So, sub criterion 1.1.3 is concerned with the process. The marks, the process required is same, the expectations are same. However, the marks allocated for tier 1 and tier 2 institutes are different. Now, for tier 1 it is 6 marks for description of the process and of process for vision and mission, and 4 marks for the description of the process involved in defining the PEOs of the program. So, for tier 1 it is 6 and 4 totaling 10. For tier 2 it is 15 marks. However, the actual allocation of the marks we need to check with the latest update of the NBA website, which gives the evaluation guidelines for tier 2 institutes. Whatever numbers we are presenting here for tier 2 should be taken as a kind of provisional. You need to check the latest updates on the NBA website to get the correct evaluation of marks, that is breakup. The total marks continues to be 15, there is no problem, that is given in the SCR itself, but the evaluation guidelines we will have to look at the updated versions to see the actual breakup of the marks. This sub criterion 1.1.3 requires the details of the process for defining the vision, mission and PEOs. We will see presently that the next sub criterion also requires the details of the process for dissemination of vision, mission and PEOs among all the stakeholders. As we proceed with rest of the SCR, we will see that there are several places where the SCR requires description of certain processes. A process is a key aspect of the SCR. Whenever the word process is used in the SCR document, it actually means several things. First, you need to have the process formulation, a written document stating clearly what is the process. So, process formulation. It also must have a document indicating who are all the expected recipients of the process notification. That is, whenever according to the process definition a meeting or some brainstorming has to take place, there are supposed to be certain participants in that meeting. Who are those people? They need to be notified. So, notification to all the concerned as well as the list of the people to whom the notification has to go. Then we need records that show that we have implemented this process as stated. That means record of implementation. What could it be? Perhaps minutes of the meeting with signatures of all the participants, or a photograph with geotagged locations, or it could be even a video, it could be multiple sources, but essentially we need an evidence that the process has been implemented in its true spirit. So, whenever we use the word process, actually it means all these things. So, process formulation step, if you see, is a clear description of the activities that constitute the process. You can have a textual description of the activities that constitute the process. You can also supplement it with a graphic presentation. In fact, many institutes attach a graphic representation also while giving the textual representation also, because the graphic presentation can convey the process steps much more clearly, as well as much more easily understandable way. So, this will be quite effective in making the process clearer. You can use a flow chart kind of a visual representation, and notification to all concerned, as we mentioned. For each process, the department must maintain the list of stakeholders to whom the process document needs to be communicated. Who are all the people who need to know this process? So, that list of people must be there, because whenever there are any updates to the process, all these stakeholders need to be informed of the updates. Of course, initially they must be communicated. So, we need to have the list of the stakeholders. Then department must maintain a record indicating that communication of the process document to the stakeholders concerned has taken place. Actually, they are supposed to receive the process document. There must be a record indicating that indeed they did receive the process document. This becomes part of the process implementation record. So, we have process definition, then process implementation, and both of them must be available. Of course, process definition and all that is a document which is relatively stable. Implementation records keep getting updated as and when more and more meetings take place. The process must be implemented in true spirit as stated in the process document, as we already mentioned, and implementation records must be maintained. And for example, just as an example, process document specifies that a brainstorming session must be held with all the stakeholders. Now, a record must be maintained that the brainstorming with all the stakeholders has indeed taken place. So, the record must show the implementation of this step of the process. It can include details like the date on which the brainstorming took place, members present, their signatures, minutes of the session, and as I mentioned, you can include photographs, you can include video clips. So, all these are possible, but they show that the process has been implemented in its true spirit. And whenever the SAR specifies process, the department must have a process document, a written process document, preferably on the department's website. And then you must have implementation records, including the communication to the stakeholders concerned and the detailed records of process implementation. There must have been a communication to the stakeholders that on so and so date at so and so time a meeting has taken place. So, the record must be there that that communication has gone to the stakeholders concerned. So, now let us look at process for defining vision and mission of the department. Now that we have seen in general what a process constitutes, the specific details for process for defining vision and mission of the department, the process for arriving at the PEOs, they all will look more or less. They are not exactly similar, but more or less similar in its spirit, the flow. Okay. So, process for defining vision and mission of the department. It is a good practice to establish a departmental level committee that can assume the responsibility for this process. It is always a good practice to have one committee entrusted with the responsibility for this particular aspect of the SCR. If the institute has an IQAC already, internal quality assurance cell, it must be involved in the process to ensure uniformity and quality across all the departments of the institute. It is always a good practice to ensure that all the departments follow a relatively uniform process, so that the quality of the process for defining these things like vision, mission, PEOs and all is uniform across all the programs. Notice that the visiting team visits not only this program, but maybe some other programs, maybe another 3-4 programs. So, when they discuss, probably there would be some discussion of the practices followed by different departments. It is good if we have a uniform quality across all the processes, across all the departments, across all the programs. So, and that can be ensured by getting the IQAC involved in the process. The vision and mission of the institute must be defined first, because the vision and mission of the department must be consistent with the vision and mission of the institute. The vision and mission of the department must be compatible with the vision and mission of the institute. The vision and mission statements may be reviewed periodically to ensure their quality and relevance. That is much more important. As the institute is evolving, the vision and mission may slightly alter. So, the relevance has to be reviewed. Such review can be done once about every 4-6 years. There is no fixed time that is stipulated by anyone or anybody, but approximately after one batch comes out with a given framework, perhaps it is a time to have a look at what has happened and then see whether there should be any revision to the vision and mission statements. This is just a sample which is actually taken from an institute which participated in one of the workshops. So, there is nothing sacrosanct about this process, and it is only a sample just to indicate what is the possibility. A brainstorming session with the faculty and students of the department is held, and a preliminary version of the vision and mission statement is prepared. It is a preliminary version. The vision and mission statements of repeated institutes operating in a similar context are also considered during this initial session. Well, we arrive at a first cut version of the vision and mission statements. We take into account the vision and mission statements of good institutes which are operating in a similar kind of a context. The preliminary version of the vision and mission statement is presented in a meeting with all the stakeholders. All the stakeholders concerned, and it includes management, faculty, current students. If we can get alumni to participate, it will be wonderful, because they have gone through the program and they will be able to contribute well to the brainstorming. Then employers, if we can get them, it is difficult, but if we can get them, it will be very helpful. Then industry experts. In-depth discussions are held to arrive at the next version of the vision and mission. So, usually this will be quite exhaustive, because a lot of discussions and a lot of back and forth exchange of ideas would take place in this meeting generally. The updated version of the vision and mission is validated by the academic experts from university and other reputed institutions. Modifications are made as per their suggestions. These activities may have to be iterated to reach a consensus, but usually in 2 to 3 sessions they should be able to arrive at a consensus. Now, this is further fine tuned in a meeting involving all the stakeholders concerned as well as the experts from academia to arrive at the final version of the vision and mission statement of the department. So, the final version, though we say it is final, may further be examined at the institute level before arriving at the approved version ready for dissemination. Because at the institute level there could be certain further refinements that might be suggested, and the department may have to have those small finer updates done to the vision and mission statement, and that becomes the approved version with appropriate authorization, signatures, etc. And that becomes the document that is ready for dissemination. Okay. Now, if IQAC is involved right from the beginning, perhaps this final step there may not be much, because IQAC is familiar with at the institute level what is happening. The vision and mission statements of the department are reviewed and modified over a period of about 4 to 6 years following the above procedure. When we are reviewing also, the same procedure is followed. The department can depict this process pictorially, as we mentioned earlier, in a diagram such as a flow chart. In fact, this is very strongly recommended. Every department should include a kind of a flow diagram indicating the process, because that makes it much easier to understand the process flow. We can have the textual description also accompanying the figure, but a figure would be extremely helpful. Now, let us look at the process for defining the PEOs of the program. Description of the process involved in defining the PEOs of the program quite similar to the process for defining the vision and mission of the department. So, the process would include similar steps of brainstorming among the stakeholders, validation by experts, iterations as required, and so on. However, the vision and mission of the department must be compatible with the vision and mission of the institute, but the PEOs of the program are to be correlated to the elements of the mission statements of the department. That is, the mission statements of the department and PEOs are correlated to each other. Every mission statement must have some kind of a link to a PEO, and every PEO must be in some sense supported by a part of the mission. So, what are the exhibits or contexts to be observed or assessed by the visiting team? Documentary evidence of the definition and effective implementation of the processes for vision and mission of the department and program educational objectives of the program, PEOs. So, you must have process definition records, list of stakeholders, implementation records, the actual minutes of the meeting, whatever you are having as implementation records, all these documents must be available. This documentary evidence is examined by the visiting team to arrive at the evaluation of the marks for this particular sub-criterion. Then we have a process for dissemination of vision, mission and PEOs. Formulating vision, mission, PEOs is one step, but then it must be disseminated across all the stakeholders properly. So, the allocation of marks is 5. This is same for both Tier 1 and Tier 2 institutes, and the guidelines are adequacy in respect of publication and dissemination. It must be published and suitably made available, accessible to all the stakeholders concerned. So, the dissemination is extremely important. So, there are 3 marks for that. Then the process itself, process of dissemination among stakeholders, there are 2 marks. Okay. So, the adequacy is examined by the visiting team, the availability of the vision, mission and PEOs of the department. We will elaborate presently what do we mean by the availability, where all it should be available when the visiting team inspects, but that is one aspect that will be checked by the visiting team. Then the process of dissemination, documentary evidence, outlining the process, ensuring awareness among internal and external stakeholders, including effective implementation of the process. So, where all the vision, mission, PEOs of the department must be available? On the institute website under the relevant program link, If the main website has a link to the program, if we follow the link, we get to that particular program and it must be available there, vision, mission, PEOs. It must be available on the department notice boards, in head of the department's chambers, in common faculty rooms, individual faculty rooms, in laboratories, in departmental classrooms, if there are dedicated classrooms, in departmental library, departmental seminar hall. So, basically whichever are the areas where the people concerned with the department, faculty, students or other stakeholders, industry experts, they visit the department. These are all the places where the vision, mission, PEOs must be available prominently on the display. So, it catches the attention of all these stakeholders, and even if you glance at it once in a while, it tends to have an effect on all the stakeholders. So, it serves the purpose of dissemination of vision, mission, PEOs. In the departmental level academic documents also, we can have these printed. Like for example, if there are standard test booklets which are made available to the students when you are doing the internal assessment, then on these booklets also one can publish the print the vision, mission and PEOs. Similarly, if there is a standardized laboratory record, printed record which is made available to the students, we can have a vision, mission, PEOs available on those records also. In fact, there is no particular definition of where all it should be available. The primary rule is wherever it is likely that a student or other stakeholder will encounter it, have it available, so that the dissemination is as wide as possible. The process of dissemination, documentary evidence to indicate the process which ensures awareness among internal and external stakeholders with effective process implementation. Internal stakeholders, who are all the people who are involved? It could be management, members of the bodies like governing body, governing board, academic council or academic senate, faculty, support staff, students, etc. The external stakeholders may include alumni, employers, industry experts, etc. And the stakeholders change. New students join the institute every year, new faculty and support staff may join the department, members of the governing board, academic council may change. So, it is not that the stakeholders remain unchanged. So, whenever the stakeholders change, it is necessary to ensure that the new members are aware of the vision, mission and PEOs. So, the extent of awareness is checked by the visiting team based on interaction with internal and external stakeholders. It is essential that all the stakeholders are well aware of the vision, mission and PEOs of the department. Particularly, faculty and students must be well aware of these important aspects of the program, vision, mission and PEOs. It is not that they are expected to memorize and by heart the whole thing and then reload that, but they must understand the spirit of it. What is the direction in which the department is moving and what are the PEOs of the program for which accreditation is being sought. The awareness must exist. They may not be able to replicate the whole thing verbatim, but they must be aware of what is happening. Such an awareness must get reflected clearly during the interactions of the visiting team with all the stakeholders. It would be helpful if the department discusses its vision, mission and PEOs in all its periodic meetings with the stakeholders, just to remind them. A departmental level committee must be constituted to ensure such timely dissemination of the information. Like as I mentioned, whenever there are substantial changes in the faculty composition, the committee must hold or schedule a meeting with the faculty to ensure that the new faculty become aware of the vision, mission and PEOs. Similarly, every year perhaps one meeting at the beginning to provide this information to the new students. Whatever is necessary, the committee must take care of the necessary steps to ensure that the vision, mission and PEOs are disseminated properly and well to all the stakeholders. IQAC, if it exists, can coordinate with this committee. Document evidence of all this must be available. Then mapping of the PEOs with mission. As we mentioned, vision and mission of the department must be consistent with vision and mission of the institute. But PEOs of the program for which accreditation is being sought must be correlated to mission of the department. So, mission statements and PEO statements are correlated with each other. So, there are 10 marks which are allocated for that, again same for both tier 1 and tier 2 institutes. We must generate a mission versus PEOs matrix, a matrix showing how the mission statements are correlated to PEOs. So, we generate a matrix of such correlations and we must justify the correlations that we mark in the matrix. So, the evaluation guidelines are, first such a matrix must exist. So, preparation of a matrix, that is 5 marks. Then consistency justification of the correlation parameters of the matrix, that will be again 5 marks. So, the visiting team will check the availability of the matrix and it will look at the justification for each element mapped in the matrix. And of course, the justification is evaluated subjectively by the team, how well it appeals to their sense of balance. So, the matrix looks like this. On one side we have the PEOs, PEO 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever be the number, 3 to 5. Then on the other side we have the mission statements phrases. They do not have to be complete mission statements. A mission statement may have 3-4 key phrases. So, it can be one phrase, key phrase from mission statements. So, M1, M2 etc., they are full mission statements or key phrases from the mission statements which are related to this particular PEO. So, M1, M2, MK etc., are distinct elements of the mission statements, key phrases. They need not be full mission statements, they are elements of those statements, and enter the correlation levels as 1, 2 or 3. 1 means very low correlation between the PEO and the phrase of the mission statement. 2 is moderate or medium. 3 means substantial or high correlation, and if there is no correlation at all, these two are absolutely unrelated to each other, then just put a dash mark. Every mapping between the PEO and element of the mission statement shown in the matrix must be justified. If you mark it as 1, why? First of all, there is a correlation in your view, in the department's view, and why it is at level 1. If it is at 2 or if it is at 3, again same. Why the department thinks that the correlation between this particular PEO and this particular phrase of the mission statement is very substantial. What is there in the mission statement? What is there in the PEO? How they are very strongly correlated? Why we have marked the correlation as 3? We must write a justification, but at the same time let the justification be brief, to the point and concise. Long verbose paragraphs tend to put off the committee. So, clear, crisp, brief, short justification of the correlation must be provided for every single value marked in the matrix, 1, 2 or 3. So, the justification may be presented very briefly in 1 or 2 sentences. Quality of the justification is evaluated by the visiting team. Again, this is subjective evaluation based on the perception of the evaluators. So, let the justification be logical and to the point. Better to avoid verbose and vague justifications. Example, there is one PEO which says act with global ethical societal and ecological awareness expected of practicing engineering professionals. There is a phrase in the mission statement which says responsible citizen with social, ethical and environmental awareness. Probably it is part of the mission statement which includes various things that the department is planning to do to realize its vision, and part of that is to produce responsible citizens, to ensure that the graduates are responsible citizens with social, ethical and environmental awareness. We have just taken a phrase from the mission statement. Now, obviously, these two are correlated from the phrases you can see from the words used. So, the mapping strength is marked as 3 substantial, and the justification we give is that the learning environment provided in the college is designed to mold the students into responsible citizens with social, ethical and environmental awareness. This, coupled with the program curriculum, will lead graduates to act with global, ethical, societal and ecological awareness. So, the mapping is substantial. It is marked as 3 and a short justification is given. Another example, PEO says, be successful professionals contributing to the society as responsible citizens with proven technical expertise. The mission statement phrase is learning environment conducive for acquiring professional competence. Now, the mapping between these two is marked as 2, which is moderate. The learning environment provided in the college is designed to promote professional competence, that is the justification. This enables the graduates to be successful professionals known for technical competence. So, this is the justification that we provide for the correlation between these two. Why the department marked as 2 rather than 3? That is up to the department to justify. For example, contributing to the society, the other factors are not taken into account in this, only the technical expertise taken out. The responsible citizens part is not related to the mission, probably. Again, there are no hard and fast fixed rules on how to interpret these kind of correlations. It must look proper, rational and it must look brief, and its quality is evaluated by the visiting team based on their subjective perception. So, that concludes our discussion of vision, mission, PEOs, the process of defining them and disseminating them. In the next unit, we will meet again to look at the SCR requirements of criterion 1 OBC only, but sub criterion 1.2. Thank you. We will meet again. Thank you.